drivers, what if you're actually distracted by that blue badge, that official looking customer's been verified by Uber Eats when you're out doing food deliveries? What if you're so distracted, you're actually missing out on making money? In this video, I'm going to ask you to consider how Uber Eats may actually be manipulating you by using this blue badge in a variety of orders. And then I'm going to inform you on how and where this blue badge actually may be helpful. Or is it? And then finally, we're going to look, Uber Eats likes to talk about safety all the time. I want to walk you through some information that they've shared with the public and see how and if this applies to drivers like you and I. First, how is Uber Eats manipulating you by showing you this blue badge? And do you find yourself being soothed or comforted by seeing that rich blue color when orders pop up? And what do you think they're trying to do here? By you seeing this, and let's say you feel comfortable, do you think that you're going to earn more money? Or possibly, are you going to get better ratings in the apps? Or are you potentially being distracted? How much of your full attention are you putting into that order and accepting only a profitable one? Or are you amazed by, again, that blue color that maybe you're just accepting it because you trust that Uber Eats, they know what they're doing, and surely if they were going to put this badge there, that can only be good things for you. And also, what if it was a red badge? Would that do the opposite and actually scare you or make you question, wait a minute, what's going on in this order? I better look a little more closely before I take it. And if I do take it, I better pay real close attention to make sure that I'm not in danger. I want to thank Rhonda so much. Thank you for asking me to make this video for you, and it'll benefit everybody else. In light of that as well, everybody, please share in the comments right now. Please give me a percentage of time. Are you seeing this blue badge come up in a variety of food delivery orders and grocery shopping orders? And the second part of the information, please share how long you've been delivering on Uber Eats. So what this is going to do is later we're going to go back and be able to read the comments and see if this kind of thing is a problem for new drivers or experienced ones. And overall, we'll see if Uber Eats is up to something with presenting this blue badge. So thanks for doing that. Based off of my experience, I've been doing this part-time for 7 years now. I personally don't see the need for the blue badge when we're doing food delivery or grocery shopping. And you may ask, why? Do we really care who we're delivering to? Do we need a name? Do we need an address? Of course, we're usually delivering to homes, apartments, or businesses. And we're delivering food or a product that the customer wants. So to me, I don't really need to know that they've been verified or that even matters. And we'll get to something here real quick for alcohol and medication. But just your average delivery, I don't see the need or the enticement for it. Where I would be concerned is if we're delivering to a location that is not normal. Again, houses, apartments, condos, businesses. What if you're delivering out in the middle of nowhere, or once you start going down private roads? That's where I get concerned. And I will say that I've done a couple deliveries to locations that I was like, uh-oh, something's going on. This isn't right. Going to the back of a warehouse or some other place. And what I was doing is delivering to a semi-truck driver because of their big rigs. They can't park where most people can. And so they're doing food delivery where I bring it out to them. So in those cases, that was great. But anytime that you're deviating from a normal location, that's where you should be concerned and pay close attention, because you don't want to do something to where you can be tricked, trapped, captured, or any scary thing like that. Aha! So, what about alcohol orders? Surely that blue badge, that must entice you to think, I'm going to get a really good tip out of this order because the customer is special. They have this blue badge. Or do you think you're going to get some really good ratings? Or potentially, does this blue badge mean that that customer is a good person and he or she is really nice? Are you expecting some kind of elevated customer interaction from this? Now, keep in mind, alcohol deliveries, depending on where and when you're doing this, they can be very easy or they can be very dangerous. But overall, think about it like this. We're going to be interacting with that customer. And so it's normal. We're always going to be scanning the ID. Anytime someone's going out in public to buy alcohol, they have to show their ID. So there's nothing abnormal about us scanning the ID with the customer as long as that's at a normal location, such, again, a house, an apartment. So I just finished an Uber Eats order right now, and it was something. It was a long distance trip, and it was, here, I'll bring it up. It was $31 for 12 miles and an alcohol delivery from a 7-Eleven. And I saw this, I figured, hey, I could be getting tip baited or maybe not. But anyway, I drove all the way out here in the middle of nowhere to do this delivery. And right away, the customer started messaging me right after I accepted the order, asking if I was okay to deliver to the back of a house. I thought, okay, sure. And then she said to go down an alley. Okay. So I just asked, is it straightforward or easy to find this? Because I haven't been here before. And she assured me that it was. So what's my price for doing anything for the customer? Again, an alcohol delivery, $31 for 12 miles. That's a lot of money. And again, it's daytime right now. I just finished this a little bit ago. Would that change if it was really dark at night? Good afternoon. I'm Russ. Very good. How was your day then? You already know.
So, that's why I asked get deliveries in the back.
Would you go down an alley that's dimly lit? That's the part where you need to be worried. But for most alcohol deliveries and including medication deliveries, the customer has to show their ID for either medication or alcohol. This is just a normal process. So for your own driver safety, use your best judgment. And I'm not going to get off too much into how to protect yourself, things to watch out for specifically with alcohol deliveries. I will talk about that here in a little bit, but not right now. So again, you need to decide what's safe for you. And there's some people, maybe you don't feel comfortable doing alcohol deliveries at all, or you don't do them at night. I will say I stick to the daytime mostly. Again, I mentioned other deliveries where you're going down dark private roads. You just overall want to be careful and be vigilant. You never want to assume, and a lot of people, we stare at our phones all the time, and even doing food delivery. Look around and watch out for yourself. All right, so up next, this is an interesting part for you. I think you're already getting the trend here that when you're doing food delivery, that blue badge that I've been verified as a customer, that actually doesn't matter. What matters is when you're doing rideshare. Now, I did rideshare. I did Uber and Lyft for a few years, part-time, and then COVID hit and I had to stop. And then right after that, this fine luxury automobile, it got too old. So I just do food delivery now. Where this really matters is the customer is in your car. I think you can see why this is so important. If you're just picking up the random public off the street, you have no idea who their name is, that's scary. And for the rideshare community, you would see strange names that, I'm not going to say different ones now, but they were concerning to where, for your own safety, I wouldn't pick up someone like that. So where this has helped is Uber Eats does this rider verification. That's what that blue badge is. And then they're not guaranteeing anything, but they're at least, what's helpful is the fake names have gone away for the most part. So you have real people. So just as a technique, if you think of this, which we've already talked about with food delivery, we're out in public, we're walking around, so we're at risk there. But anytime you're going up to drop off at a house or an apartment, you look where you're going. The difference with rideshare is this is the car. Once that rider gets in your car, it's much harder to get them out. And that's when the situation gets a little more dangerous. And then, of course, that could be any time, day or night. But you can use your imagination. Nighttime is the high risk. So as a technique for a rideshare driver, what you want to do is ask the name of the rider before you ever unlock your door. Just roll down the window enough to ask the name. Once you've confirmed the rider, if you're not scared, you don't have any red flags going off in your mind where you feel uncomfortable, then let them in the car. This is why it's so important. And driver safety is huge, and it's something that Uber and Lyft just get lip service to, but I'll cover that here in a little bit. The main thing is once they're in your car, that's when it gets scary. So you need to do your best and make sure that you feel as safe as possible. So this is the main reason why I think Uber verifies the riders to make sure, and how are they doing this? What they're doing is they're just using a third party, some consumer information that's already out there. And you can, as drivers, we get scrutinized regularly, background checks with different apps. And what they're using is companies like Checker. And I don't know for certain, but I would imagine they're not doing a really deep scrutiny of all drivers because it's expensive. And Uber wants to save money. How much are they going to spend on your background check compared to how much they're paying you? So getting back to the blue badge for rideshare drivers with passengers, here's where it matters. The blue badge, not so much. The main thing is how many rides has the rider done and what's their rating. If they have high levels in many rides, then generally you can trust that they behave themselves and they are who they say they are. Now, what you have to be careful of are new riders, because you don't know if they're new or if they got kicked off and figured out how to create another account and then they're actually a problem. So definitely anybody with low rides, they should be a 5-star rating. And anything under that, you want to be really careful. Again, I know we're food delivery drivers, but those are some workarounds that poor behaving riders know how to do. So the blue badge, I would say, even for rideshare, is not really effective. Maybe it cut down on the fake names, but that's probably about it. So that's enough on rideshare and the nice blue badge of validating the customer. How many times do you trust your feelings? I was alluding to that earlier, talking about food delivery at certain times, and then definitely rideshare. When that rider's in the back of your car, how often do you trust your feelings? That is something to give serious consideration to. Are we perfect? No, of course not. But we can trust our intuition, our instincts. If you have a bad feeling about something, again, I'm not a qualified anything. I'm just a guy on the internet. But I would say generally, based on our experience, we can trust when something doesn't feel right. So I want to look with you now on some information that Uber has shared with the public and pay very close attention on how much of it is a fact and how much of it is a feeling. And why are they doing this? So let's get on the internet right now. I will link this in the video description so you can look at it later. And let's just go through. So bringing this up, it says advancing trust and safety. Okay. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this. So let's scroll through and find some facts. So the rider verification, that blue badge, they're helping confirm that they are who they say they are. Committed to promoting mutual accountability. And then here's the goal. Goal sounds like something you're working towards, not something that's guaranteed. The goal of making Uber a safe and trusted place to ride and drive. So that's the goal. And then it says here how we verify. And I already kind of mentioned this. It involves cross-checking a rider's account information with third-party databases. And if they can find that information on there, then good, you get your blue badge. If not, then there's an option to upload an ID, and that way then Uber can compare that and then give that blue badge. So uploading IDs is optional. We don't really care about privacy, and there's that lovely badge right there. And it says it builds trust. And that's that part where you see it when a ride request comes in, or potentially when we see it as a food delivery driver. And I did forget to mention, The reason we're seeing that as a food delivery driver is this is a rider doing rideshare, and they also order food and groceries off of UberEats. So I think that's why the drivers, we're seeing that blue badge come up, unless we do rideshare. So down to frequently asked questions. Here's a really shocking statement under the questions. What does it mean when I'm verified? If you go down far enough, it says, this isn't a guarantee of someone's identity or good behavior, but it can help us build trust and accountability on our platform. So right there, is this a solution? Is it a done deal? Is it 100% guaranteed? No. It's just a feel-good thing to have that blue badge. So again, we already talked about rideshare drivers and how they further scrutinize this. Moving down, and of course, if you decide not to provide an ID and selfie, you won't get a verified badge, but you can still take rides with Uber. That goes straight back to the, not the intent of this video, but for rideshare, that's a huge safety issue, and they've ignored it for years. It says, however, if you set up a new rider account using an anonymous form of payment, such as Venmo, prepaid debit card, gift card, or we find you need additional verification, then they'll ask for the ID before you can take a ride. Sure. All right, and then going all the way to the bottom, it says more about safety at Uber. Go straight to the bottom, the fine print. Our rider verification system is designed to improve trust and accountability on the Uber platform, but the verification badge does not represent a warranty or guarantee of someone's identity, safety, or fitness to ride. And then it says in some markets, they may collect a government ID, without also requiring a selfie. So right there, Uber put this out for public viewing, and customers see this, and of course, as drivers, we can read that as well. So overall, if Uber is serious about safety, then how about pay for some background checks? And you may not be aware how much companies like Checker, how much do they charge? So it's roughly $18 for a driver's check, like if you work for a company and you drive. And then it goes $30 for a basic one. Enhanced is $50, I think. And then a complete one is almost $90. I think clearly we all know that Uber's not going to spend this kind of money. So I could see for the volume that they potentially would do if there's millions of drivers, they probably get a really good discount. So maybe they're probably just doing the basic one to do a surface level check. And who knows, maybe they're getting a discount all the way to like $5 or $3. It's got to be minor because Uber, they want to keep all the money possible. And we know that they charge the customer, the restaurant, so many fees. So they've got plenty of cash to fund this. So I don't know that this is true or not, but I would just imagine based on past performance of Uber and how they treat us as drivers, if they really care about safety, I would say I wouldn't put them past too much to think that they're going to put too much money into this. They want to do the minimum possible to keep drivers off their back and keep customers riding and ordering food and groceries. That's all they care about. They're taking cuts of everything. So I actually wouldn't trust that they're doing a thorough job with whatever check they're coming up with to give that blue badge to the certain riders. So earlier I mentioned if you're able to take profitable orders, and then of course, driver safety, all those scary things that I mentioned about doing alcohol deliveries and nighttime adventures, things like that. Wouldn't it be helpful to know exactly how to take profitable orders and how to deliver food safely? I think you can clearly see the benefit of that. And I do have good news for you. I made a video teaching you how to do food delivery step by step completely. And I go into some detail there that I wasn't able today. So please forgive me. I wasn't as passionate making that video. The content is solid, so bear with me and watch that video next, and I'll see you there.